Hi, everybody. Happy Wednesday afternoon. Thanks for joining me. It's 2 o'clock and this is Connie. And I am like beyond excited about showing you projects today. I have several projects today because every year I really like to make an ornament or something more dimensional to give for gifts. And I thought I'd show you some of my past ones and then we'll make a few ourselves, little presents. Now, several of you have been with me or in my club for many, many years. And so you will recognize many of these. This one was just last year or the year before last. And basically I got this metal hanger thing out of the clearance rack at Hobby Lobby. It had an alphabet on it, had a big like a monogram on it, and I just covered it with paper. This is just a piece of scrapbooking paper that I cut out and layered with foam tape, and I'm happy to say it's lasted through, you know, storage in the attic and that kind of thing, and so it's held up pretty well. So here's one. It's just a wall hanging that I made and I gave them to my downline. And then I know a lot of you remember this one because this is really recent, the little trees and the little deer. And I just put it on one of those wood blanks that makes like a great ornament. It makes a great ornament. So this is something that took almost no time. This one has that like, oh, what's it called? Paste on the bottom that I just smeared on, let it dry, and then I put everything else on it. So it kind of looks like snow and it gave it some dimension. You'll remember these. This was a close to my heart ornament special where, you know, we made shakers, but this one was one where I just cut out a stamped image and made a scene and used the little wood pieces. You'll notice that on almost all of my ornaments, I add some sort of greenery or something dimensional, like crystals or something, just to, you know, give it a little more something, a little sparkle. This one is done using die cuts and stamps of snowflakes from a couple years ago. I just cut out of glitter paper and layered different layers of cardstocks and put crystals on and then glued two of them together to make it extra sturdy. And what a gorgeous ornament, right? And that one is another one that has, I pulled these out of my ornament tub. So these I just threw in my ornament tub. This is an oldie. Some of you may not recognize this one. Who's watching today? Hi, Sally. Stephanie might recognize this one because it's an oldie. It's a CD. You may recognize that. How many of us have like gobs of CDs that we don't know what to do with? But basically covered it with paper. This is like embossed paper, a stamped little snowman and some snowflakes. And then I put that fake snow around the edge to give it a twinkle. And I'm telling you, that stuff, for all its cheapness, it's like an iridescent fake snow. Man, does that capture light on a Christmas tree. And it's a big ornament. I mean, this sucker is like, I don't know, what are they, 4¼ inches or something. It's a big ornament, but it looks great on a tree. So, and then the back is just a place where I could, you know, write a message. Sorry, I'm getting over a cold, so I'm kind of like, ugh. I didn't take any cold medicine today. Today's the first day where I felt like I didn't need it, but I'm feeling a little congested, so forgive me. This one's an oldie, all this is one of those tins that looks like a bottle cap, kind of. You've seen those in the stores, I'm sure. They're a lot more common now than when I made this. This one was made many, many years ago. I want to say 20, 2015, something like that. Anyway, so I just cut a circle, a scallop, and then another circle, stamped the little Santa and colored it. And look how well it's held up. And then this is just trim that I glued on, like yarn fiber. How cute is that? And, you know, we all have seen that really cute ribbon that you can get that has like the messages for Christmas. And this is a perfect use for it. It's held up pretty well. This is an oldie. This is a coaster. You know, the coasters that you see in restaurants or you used to anyway. They don't do them as much as they used to, but you can get these cardboard, chipboard coaster pieces. I just put some paper on it, matted a photo of my dog and cat, and then just glued all of this together. And I think this was the year my other cat died. So let's see, that would have been like 2000 and, boy, I don't know, 18, maybe 18. Anyway, so these are just some ideas. And again, that trim that you see in all the stores, I just sort of glued it around the edge, and look how cute. Look how cute with that little tiny tree. Aren't you always wondering what to do with all those little parts and pieces? I can't resist them in the stores. I'm telling you, I can't resist them. But here I am. Okay, so I have some projects to show. The first one we're gonna do is this. Now, this is one I do every single year. So I used to do craft shows, and this was like a big seller because you can decorate a box of Tic Tacs in a million different ways, right? So I've made Grinch pills and bought green Tic Tacs, and then you put like a little message on the back about the Grinch being a Grinch. And this is a great stocking stuffer for that growly non-Christmas person in your life. but these are really sweet. They're I just thought, you know, I had those mix-in papers left over from last season, and I thought, well, this is a perfect use. I just cut a piece of paper. How big is that? Sorry, I didn't measure anything really. This is 5 1/4 by 3. The way I measured it was like this. I went, oh, that needs to be about 3 inches wide. And then I wrapped it around and I cut it. So I didn't really, you know, like make a measurement. But if I was making a ton of them, like for the craft show, I certainly would. The other thing I did is I took a hole punch and I went in and punched a hole, and it doesn't really matter where you do it as long as it's not near the edge, because the idea is to have the Tic Tacs showing through, right? You just want them to show. And so all I'm going to do is put some glue on the edge that has more space. I just do that, and just a tack of glue there, just so your Tic Tacs, so it doesn't slide off. It's really just a sleeve, and so you don't want your Tic Tacs to fall out, like if you're putting them in a stocking or something. So I just center that hole, and then turn it over, and you'll notice there's a little slope to them. So the bottom, you can't wrap it super tight because it'll be wonky, it'll be crooked. But what you can do is like line it up at the top, make sure your paper lines up, and then just, and then if you have any little edge like that, I just trim it off. That's what happens when I don't put my hole over far enough, but it's not that big of a deal. This is a stocking stuffer. This is not something that, you know, people are going to keep for the rest of their lives. I try to crease the paper so it's more of a square and not a tube. And then basically I just decorate. Now, one of the things I use a lot are, I use a ton of like these squares because they're small enough where I can, you know, mess around. Now I'm going to turn it this, normally what I do is I find a snowman that has a big belly and I make the snowman image kind of big and then punch a hole in his belly. So that would be the snowman's stomach. But I wanted to use this little tiny snowman today and that didn't work. So I turned it over. It looks more like snow in the sky. And so now I just need a little piece of tape up here for the big snowflake, and I need a little piece for the small snowflake, and then I just need a piece or two for the snowman itself. So you can see how simple this is, really. There's not much to it. It's just wrapping candy, right? And I do a lot of that kind of thing when I'm doing craft shows because craft shows are like, it's interesting at craft shows, people don't want to spend a ton of money, even so I try to make everything kind of almost my cost, plus just a little bit. I mean, honestly, I can make a lot of these in no time flat, right? I mean, this is not like a very time consuming project. I love when he's holding a candy cane. So I'm going to slip a candy cane right there like he's holding it. I think that's cute. And the only other thing left is if you want to add bling, and you know, you can get inexpensive dots or bling and add to it, or the sequins. I have gobs of these sequins left over. Let me just put a few out because I'm going to need them on the next project too. So I'll show you. Open. I don't know why I always have trouble opening those. All right. I'm just going to put a few out there. And I'm just going to put a little dot of glue on this snowflake and a little dot of glue on this snowflake. And then I'll just, you know, put the sequin down as decoration. And you can do as many of those as you want. Just imagine the assembly line. You have a bunch of grandkids, you have a bunch of friends, people you just want to hand something to. These are awesome. And everybody loves Tic Tacs, right? It's rare to find somebody who won't actually use them. Okay, so there's that. Next project. Okay, so I go to Hobby Lobby a lot for inexpensive blanks because they're everything's always half price and they're already pretty dirt cheap to start with. And this is Christmas gift tags. I think they were in one of the kid craft areas. You know how they have the area of what looks like kid crafts everywhere, but basically they're just tags like this. They're wood discs with little beads around them, and I thought this would be really cute for my cross stitch, so I have a gob of them because, you know, this is you know, if I cross stitched a little tree or something and put in here, I thought that was perfect. But these are pretty inexpensive. They were $2.99 and they were half price, so $1.50 for 4 of them. And this is what I made. And it looks just like the Tic Tac thing, only it is an ornament. So you can hang that from a tree. Now, what I did with this one, now you can see they're cheap. So sometimes you have to add your own little glue and stuff to make these like sturdier or whatever. But basically what I did was I took some ink and I thought, we'll try Bluebird. Maybe I should try something a little lighter. Let me grab a lighter ink. Just to see if we can get it looking snowier, maybe. Hold on a minute. I know I'm slow at I wasn't planning on doing that. I changed my plan right in the middle. All right, so what I'm gonna do, this is just sponge, kind of like those, you know, those dauber sponges that we carry. I just have some of the old ones from Color Box that I have different sponges for different colors of inks. And so it doesn't really matter if you get ink on this wood right here because it's going to be covered up anyway. And this is just kind of a fun project, a fun way to use your supplies that you have. And if you're like me, oh my gosh, everybody expects something handmade, whether it's a card or a stitched item, or, you know, I don't know. Everybody expects something handmade from me because that's what I am. That's what I do. You know, I love it. All right. So I kind of like that. That's Glacier. It has a little more of a green look. Let's see how it'll look. It's okay. All right. So with this one, because the beads stick up, have a ledge, it's going to take a little more tape on it than if it was flat. So I'm going to put a double layer of foam. Now you're probably wondering, like, why don't I just use hot glue? And the answer to that is hot glue does not hold up well. Hot glue, and sometimes I even add like a dot of regular liquid glue to it, because hot glue, just doesn't work. When you put this stuff, when you put hot glue in the cold or the hot, it pops loose. I have a beautiful pine cone wreath. I was so excited to get it because my mother used to make pine cone wreaths. I grew up, my mom, we would go around here. The only place you can find pine cones in huge numbers is like the cemeteries and some of the parks. But so I grew up like with my mom dragging me to like cemeteries and stuff. She did genealogy and we picked up pine cones. that was our childhood. Woo! But basically I bought one at a craft show. It was gorgeous. It had acorns and all kinds of really neat things in it. And that thing didn't even last a whole season. I was so upset because the person used hot glue to hold it all together. This gorgeous, gorgeous wreath that obviously took so much time to put together. And she used hot glue and it started popping apart. I have since, you know, I have had to use my other glue to put things together, and I think I'm gonna I might put a little one on his hat. It's just frustrating. It's frustrating to think about somebody spending that much time on a project and trying to use quickie glue. So I use a lot of tacky glue. I use a lot of this Barely Arts glue. It's shockingly strong and it holds up for a really long time, which is great. I think I'm going to use that color there. Okay. So there's ornament number 2. I just have to let it dry. Look at that. Isn't that cool? Wouldn't you love to get something like that? I just think those are really, really pretty. Really fun. All right. I'm going to get out my next project and then I'll oh, and here's the other glue I use a lot while I get this pulled together here. My E6000 is, woo, it's flexible, it's strong, it holds up in the weather. It holds up in hot and cold. It's not immediate like a hot glue, like you have to hold it for a bit for it to dry, but it's perfect for putting things on when you need it to stay. You need lasting power. Okay, the next project, I bought a pack of nail files from Amazon. See, just a pack of, I think there was a pack of 12, but they came in all these different colors. Just a ton of fun kind of colors and things. And I picked out a few that I thought, you know, I'm not going to give dolphins necessarily for Christmas, but I could. I mean, I could. But, you know, I picked out a few that I thought would be okay with Christmas papers. And then I had this paper is freshly baked paper, and it is bulk. And basically I made sleeves to hold these and decorated them with that adorable little gnome stamp. Now, let me see if I have it out. I don't know why. Oh, there it is. I'm still playing with it. So this, I don't always love gnomes. Gnomes are not my gig, but this particular stamp set has always been one that I had to have. I love it. I love how it looks. These little winter themed, holiday themed ones are right up my alley. And I love the puns. There's no place like gnome, Merry Christmas, gnome for the holidays. I'll be gnome for Christmas. I love it. I love it so much. And so that's where I got the little candy cane for that Tic Tac thing. And what I do with these is I just cut gobs. I pick like 4 or 5 colors of marker, and I just start coloring. And then eventually, you know, I just got a whole bunch of gnomes or images stacked up and ready for projects like this. And so here is what I did. So I basically just used that freshly baked paper, some of it on the red side, some of it on the polka dotted side, and then I made this. So let me show you how these were made. Got to get that out of the way. What you need is basically a piece of paper that's long enough to use as a sleeve. Now, I could have made mine a little longer, right? It's gonna stick out. By the time I glue all the way around, it's gonna stick out quite a bit. I could have made it longer, but what's nice about this is it's exactly 6 inches long, which is perfect because I can get like a bunch of them out of each piece of paper. I didn't have to do that. And then the width of this is 3.5 inches. Now, what you want to do, I don't know which side you can see it better on, probably that one. You can kind of see it scored. And I wrote the score measurements right there. So I'm letting you take a screenshot or write them down. Basically, what you end up with is 3 1-inch pieces and then a couple of tiny 1/4 inch sides, right? So when you wrap it around, you have like, you know, a box. So you score at 1, 1 1/4, skip an inch, 2 1/4, 2 1/2, and then skip an inch, right? So that's basically how that works. So I'll leave that there in case you want to look at that. And then you decide which side of your paper looks best. I'm just going to keep this one red. And you just fold it on all of your score lines. And then you're going to just, you know, basically wrap it up like a box, right? Just like that, like a tube. But before you do that, it's nice to have a little slot for your finger to fit in, especially if you make them extra long. You know, making that little slot right there is kind of nice. You don't have to. I didn't on all of mine. Like, see, on this one, for example, I did not make any kind of little slot. Unnecessary, but especially if you only make them 6 inches long. But I just have like a 1 inch, 7/8 punch, whatever you got. And the idea is to punch, you know, in that 1 inch mark between the 2 score lines so that you have, you know, a slot. And then you can use liquid glue. You can use your tape runner. I'm going to put it all along the bottom and up one side. That's what I'm doing. So I have it upside down, but along one side and across the bottom. I'm going to lay my nail file in there, and I'm going to close up the side that doesn't have any adhesive, right? And then I'm going to close up the side that has adhesive, and I'm just going to kind of make sure it's nice and straight. Push that glue down. So I'm wrapping a nail file, people. It's not like rocket science. And then the bottom, I'm too lazy to do too much, like wrap it like a present. Look how tiny that is. So I just squish like that, because this is going to be a trash item when you're done. So this is a great thing to use your scraps to do, you know. I just squished the bottom. It's glued shut. This is glued shut. I've made a little thing. This is perfect for a little Secret Santa gift, you know. This and a little nail polish or something. This is a really nice thing for stockings. I have a lot of girls in my family. That's my thing. And so everybody loves nail files. And so I have this zip strip in my scraps, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'll just use that. I'll wrap it around. I am just going to kind of wrap that, put on more adhesive, and wrap that. And it just adds a little decoration to it, even if it's nothing, you know, all that spectacular. You could do as much or as little as you want. Now on some of these, I had some ribbon, so I, you know, tied a little ribbon on it. Whatever you wish. And then just to glue my little guy. Look how cute he is. I don't even like gnomes. I don't like gnomes, but that is adorable to me. I love it, love it. And look how quick and easy that is. And if you don't have liquid glue, or you don't want to use liquid glue, just use your foam dots. They stick so fast and they stick so firmly that you don't have to worry about the image popping off in their Christmas stocking if you pop one in there. So I'm going to use liquid glue just because I have it here and it's easy. I'm going to flip it over, and to see, I have these. Now, the weird thing about these Christmas trees, people, is that they're mushrooms. If you really look at them, it's like a mushroom tree. Do you see that? So I made them funky colors because I could. And I did a couple so I could pick. I'm just going to do this pink one on there. I like having something on the back. So I'm just gonna put that on there. This is so cute. This is so cute. Look at him. He's adorable. Look, I moved him around. Look. Quick, quick, and easy. Okay, easy. All right, let's go on to the next one. Let me grab it. You guys are gonna love this one. I just know it. All right, so I loved this stamp set so much, and it doesn't go with a lot of the other stuff in the catalog. I mean, it's like a cool set, but you got to have other stamps kind of to make it work. I don't know. At least that's kind of my experience with it. And I always buy the stamps I fall in love with because I know I will find a use for them. I'm not a hoarder in the way that I just buy stuff to buy stuff. I know I love this Santa so much, and I knew I would use him. So I'm going to use him today on this ornament. The other thing that I bought that I hadn't used enough, I've used it on a couple of scrapbook pages, but that's about it, and some tags, I think. But this fireplace just, oh, I just love it so much. And it made some very awesome tags. If you remember from a few lives ago, I made tags with it. Let me set it aside and show you that cool fireplace. The way it stamps with those lights and darks on it. It's like shaded, and that mantle, see how it's like shaded and has that stripe on it? That stamps that way. Isn't that something? So that's cool. And then the black front, I don't know if you can see it, but I embossed it with black powder because I wanted it to be ultra black. I wouldn't have had to do that. That was like over the top. I was just messing around. But I had this in my stash, in my pile. I had, you know, some Santas. And then I had this naughty or nice. And then I also had the naughty or nice that I cut out. Here's another fireplace. See, I just had a whole bunch of these that I was messing with. And I have this little tag. Oh, I should show you. Let me show you this. Let me show you this, and then I'm going to show you a couple of things I made for my downline, but that way they can leave and be surprised still. Okay, so this is the ornament I'm making. Oh, got a little piece on there. Isn't it adorable? So these wood chunks, these, you can get them anywhere. You can get them at Michael's, at Hobby Lobby, or whatever, and they're all, I always buy them like half price because really these were $5 and there were 5 of them in there. I'm like, $1 a piece isn't bad. Now these particular ones did not have holes in them. I have like a little push-pull drill. I meant to bring that over today to show you what it is, but basically it's just a hand drill that I use on wood. But you, if you do not want to mess with a drill, you can buy wood that already has holes and jute in it. That's what this one was. It came like this. It already had a hanger and everything. Easy. And you just glue stuff onto it. So that's basically what I'm doing. I'm just gluing stuff onto it. Now, this one's wonky shaped, so I have to decide, like, how do I want it to look? And I think I want the top part to be kind of, this part, I want it to be wider like that. All right, real quick, let me grab. So this design elements stamp, you guys know, I've been using this like crazy. And you know what happened was, it retired. It sold out and retired. And Close to My Heart had so many requests from consultants for this stamp set because we use it. I'm not the only one who's been using it like crazy, and customers were wanting to use it. It's really great with the greenery, this little piece of like washi. You can make any color you want. The wood grain, which we'll use on the next project, so I'll keep it out. Basically, what I want to do is make the background, and you can kind of see in the background I have some stars. So I'm gonna use espresso ink. You could use any color ink you want, I don't care. And I am going to just stamp. You stamp firmly, you push all over. These wood blanks are super smooth, they're already sanded. If you feel like it's too rough, it's rough and you're not gonna get a good smushed image, you can stamp like, you can lay your stamp on the table and you can ink it up like this. And if you have an irregular surface, I don't know what to use. Oh, here I have scratch paper. I'll just show you on scratch paper. You can take this and you can turn it over and you can lay it onto your wood block, and then you can push on it with your fingers or roll over it with a brayer, and you'll get those bumps that you don't feel like you can get with, you know, just using a block. I use a block and I just do it multiple times if I have to. The truth of it, not a lot of it shows, so you can tell I've used that a lot. My stamp is like kind of, I'm gonna go ahead and put the wood onto here just so I can show you the next thing. Okay, so there's that. And remember, I want to leave a little space for a hole, so I don't want to get too carried away with putting stuff around the top. But let me grab all my pieces. I thought I had some extra. So I have like scraps all over my table. I really do. I have a lot of scraps. This I'm just gonna glue straight on. And I don't want it to stick over too far, but it's got to stick over a little bit. So I'm not going to put glue on this outer edge. And this is my paper glue. It works on wood. It works just fine. But if you don't have the kind of glue that was, like, I wouldn't use tape runner on this. I would use glue. And hot glue will pop off eventually. I wouldn't use hot glue. But the mono adhesive, the Eileen's tacky glue works. If you do not have liquid glue, use the foam tapes. They work really well, okay? Now I want to put a Santa on here. And here's the thing about these images that are gonna do this is not a throwaway item. This is a I'm gonna keep it kind of item. You do not want to be chintzy with your adhesive, okay? So it probably would have been better for me to grab foam tape instead of this, but here I am putting this on. And the reason I am being this way is because I know that this is going to need to stick. This is going to need to stick for a long time and not come loose. So that's why it looks covered. I covered it. All right. Now, while I peel this off. So I have an interesting story while I'm putting this together. So my mom, she was more into sewing type of crafts. She did crochet and knit, and she did a lot of the felt sewing, like the felt ornaments, felt stockings, that kind of thing. Now I'm going to add just a dot of glue to these too, just to add to the staying power. And then I'm just gonna put this on just like that. Let that sit. And I have some scratch paper I'm gonna use for this. I'm just gluing this naughty or nice onto paper, and I'm gonna mat it a little bit. Anyway, so my mom worked at the hospital where I worked. She worked there for over 20 years, and then she retired. And one of the things that she did every year was she made her co-workers ornaments, felt ornaments every single year. And that was her big deal, was everybody got one. And she had a couple of people who worked with her for, you know, basically her whole career. I mean, they worked there for 20 years and so did she. And so about 2 years before I retired early, one of her coworkers was getting ready to retire and came up to me and gave me a big box, and she said she had saved all of the ornaments that my mother had made for her, and she said that she was going through her stuff since she was going to be moving after retirement. And I'm going to put some foam on that too. And she thought that my kids, or my nieces and my daughter would really love to have all of those ornaments that my mother had made over the years. And I gotta tell you, man, we were both crying. It was really something. And one of the oncology doctors had a bunch of my mom's ornaments too, and she pulled out a box out of her desk and she kept them at work all those years. My mom died in 2002, so this was just a couple years. This was like maybe 4 years ago, when this happened. And so I was just so touched that, you know, some people had kept those ornaments forever. It was such a nice thing and very touching. And I ended up, you know, I have all these ornaments that, you know, were special to people for so long. I put them in everybody's Christmas stockings and stuff. Isn't that cool? Okay, anyway, the last part of this, well, not the last, but the next part of this is I thought it would be fun to put an arrow, and I would love to have made it movable, naughty or nice. Like if I put a special screw in there, I could have put a screw through it and made it movable, but I decided just to pick nice and glue it on. So you can pick any arrows you want. These are the wooden arrows that Close to My Heart used to sell. They still have a lot of arrows on their paperboard, which would work perfect. This one is the older, like, wood, and it's a little thicker. And so I have this espresso ink again, and I'm just gonna basically pounce some ink on there and color my arrow so that it's more visible, because it's really easy to overlook that cute little arrow right there. And then you just glue it on whichever way you want. Like, you can make this one naughty or nice. Gosh, I really need to put that screw in there and make it movable, but I'm just gonna glue it on for now. All right, hold that down for a sec. Now, the very last thing truly is the greenery at the bottom. And I just want to show you what I buy. I'm not gonna take the time right now, but these are just floral picks. You know, I buy them from like Hobby Lobby or Michael's or whatever, wherever. What I look for is a pick that has real fine greenery, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it off like right here. I'm not going to use some big giant piece for like a wreath. I'm using just one little stem, you know, so I'll use 1 or 2 stems this way and 1 or 2 this way. And I'll just glue them on with E6000. And then, so this one is perfect because it has lots of little pieces. And this was, you know, $1 or something. And you can tell I've had it for a long time, and I just keep cutting pieces off of it. So I get a lot of mileage out of my greenery. And then for berries, I look for a bunch of berries that are all individual like this, where I can just snip them off and glue them on like marbles. So like I would just snip this off. I should use my other scissors though, because these are wire. And I usually start somewhere near the bottom in case I need a big tuft of them somewhere. Like that. I'll just snip it off and then I'll glue it on using E6000. So that's what I look for, something that has lots of berries, because I only need a couple of these. It's not like I need gobs and gobs of these stems just to make a decoration like that. Anyway, cute. And then, you know, we'll tie it with a ribbon, which will be perfect. Let me put these arrows out of the way. Cool, right? Really cool. The other thing that's it's a big thing. I don't think I have them out right now. But another like new fad in ornament making and stuff is if you take like a string like this and you put wood beads around it, and then it's hanging from a little, you know, beaded top. And I do that a lot with my cross stitch ornaments, but I haven't with these so far, because I do all my cross stitch finishes next door. So of course that's the bad thing about having things in 2 houses, is I'm running back and forth if I have crafts in 2 places, but you get the idea, right? Okay, so there's that one. Okay, I think this is my last one, but it's the one that takes me more time. So this is, anybody who knows me knows I have a sickness for nativity scenes. I buy them all. I love the stamp sets. I like the elegance of them. I like how fancy you can make them look, or you can make them, you know, real plain. You don't have to color them. It could be black and white. I just think this is gorgeous. So this is my, I wanted to do something with this set. This set is still for sale. The little manger scene that I bought this year with the cute little people, it's adorable, but I wanted something more elegant, and I love this one. This one is cool. The cool thing about this one over the other, this is why I have to have them all. I'm telling you, I talked myself into them. It's terrible. Come on. Okay. So everything that's blue on there is a die cut. So you get more than just the die cut for the king and the shepherd and the Mary Joseph baby scene. You have the die cut, you have the manger, the people, the top of the manger. This right here is the one with the donkey on the, I think that's a chicken. But you also have this cute little guy right here, which is like a little tiny piece of the scene, kind of like in the other one where you get the whole strip. This is just a small piece, and you get a star, which is great. You also get the like palm trees with the extra and another little star on top of, you know, the stamps that you have. And so there's a lot of options here. And so I just wanted to show you what I made with it. Okay, so I found these at Hobby Lobby. They were really inexpensive in the Christmas section. They're just those tin, very, very much like that Santa Claus tin. It's that same material as this. It's like a metal, cheap tin. I think this was seriously 49 cents or something in their clearance thing. And look how beautiful that turned out. Anyway, so this came this way. It says Peace on Earth on the back. It has a bow already on it, has a tie already on it. I might have even got it out of the ornament aisle. It's gorgeous, right? It wasn't very much money. But then on the other side, it was blank. And I thought, perfect, I can fill it. And I could fill it with a cross stitch thing or stamped images. And so today I thought I'd show you how I did this one. So this is how it came. Oh, here, see, I kept it on there in the Christmas shop. It was $3.99, which meant it was $2 because actually I think it was 60% off. But anyway, I got a whole bunch of them so that I could make these cool ornaments. Peace on Earth, very simple. So the first thing I did was I figured out what size it was. I dropped my dies in there just to see what size worked. This is Harbor, and it was a 3-inch circle. And so I am just going to put some glue on it. Now this is a great project for like liquid glass. That's another really good adhesive, especially if you're adhering paper to metal or you don't want it to show, you know, it's a good adhesive. Liquid glass works wonderful. It's available online. So what I did was I cut out pieces. I just cut out this die cut piece like this. And then to make it look more like wood, I used that wood stamp from that Design Elements. I'm going to put scratch paper down. What a mess, right? But you can see it's that piece right there. And then I inked it up and I just sort of put it on each of the like legs and then inked it up and did it all over the top. And the idea was just to give it like a wood grain. And it did not have to be perfect. Obviously, mine is not, and you can't tell. I mean, honestly, you can't tell. So that's really cool. And then part of the stamps is the actual outline of the manger. And so now you stamp that over the top of it, and this is what you get. Now, this one I did in toffee instead of espresso. I did it toffee, so it was tone on tone. And then the outline of the manger I did in espresso, just so it was a little darker. So it's a little harder to see the wood grain, but there you go. That's it. Now, the other part that I pre-cut is the top, and I wanted it to look, you know, like straw. And I feel like it needs, I don't know, dirtied up a little bit. It's like a little too gold. I used Sundance, which is kind of the straw gold color. And then this is just that espresso on my thing. And I'm just, you know, dirtying up my images a little bit because it does help them look better. Okay, let me just wipe my ink off. Okay. The other thing that I don't know how many of you are gadget friendly like me. I have like this Martha Stewart. It's a paper cutter, paper trimmer. I think they were grass scissors. Okay. You do not have to do this, but I thought it would be really fun to rough up this image just a little bit, make it, you know, like more dimensional. So I'm just going around it and just barely cutting in to, I don't know if you can see that, I'm not cutting in very far, just to give it kind of a rough appearance. Now you could do the same thing with scissors. You just have to like go in and snip, snip, snip like this. The only thing that those gadgety scissors do is make it faster, right? But then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna kind of use my fingers and flip this up, kind of like you would like the edge of a flower or something, to make it dimensional. Just like this. Isn't that cute? Isn't that like, well, not cute, but real? Isn't that real looking? Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and put some glue right there, and I'm gonna glue that down while I get the rest of my pieces ready. I'm gonna put a block on top of it just to hold it down. Maybe put 2 blocks on it. It needs weight. Okay. Now, in the background of my project, I want to have, I cut a couple of these little buildings. Now I could, one of them I did on the dark side of toffee and one on the light, and I still feel like, I don't know, they need a little, I don't know, scuffed up with the ink. Not too much, but a little. And I'm gonna go ahead and then I cut another 3-inch circle and then cut the bottom off of toffee, just so, one thing I did not like about this ornament that I finished was that it looked like they were floating on air at the bottom. It's like they needed a ground. And so I want to put this in like, kind of like sand. So I know that's a little fussy, but I like that. It's gonna drive me crazy, and it's gonna drive me crazy year after year after year as I get this ornament out. So I'm like, I'm gonna just do it right. Okay, and then this, I'm just gonna put glue on here, and I'm gonna put this down, and it doesn't really, the main thing about this is it's just a background. It's just a background. You barely even see it, but it is nice to have something in the background. And you don't want it too high or it'll be covered by the top of the manger. So what's everybody else making this year? Anybody crafting at Christmas yet? I feel like I did all of these in one afternoon. I just sat and cranked them out. Okay, I'm gonna put foam tape on my image. I'm using the thin foam tape for this one. I have a couple of other projects I've been doing that I'm dying to show you. I'm looking around. 2 of them are in here, and one of them is in my room, in my next room. I set it in a room to dry. All right, so here's this. You know, the other thing that would be a great style, I'm going to put this as low to the bottom as I can. As a matter of fact, I think I might trim the bottom just a little more even, just because it's a little, I want it tight to the bottom like that. All right, so the very last thing is this. Now, here's the thing. This does not fit inside. It could, but it chops off Joseph's head. I don't want that. So I need it to stand out a little bit. And so to make it fit, I'm going to snip the bottoms off of my manger because I want it to kind of lay inside of that circle. And I'm just, you notice, not being too terribly careful about that, just doing it. It doesn't matter if it touches or not. Okay, now this is the part that, the reason I saved this one for last, it's the fussiest part, okay? So I have a bunch of foam strips that are super skinny, and you can use any foam you've got, okay? But after I messed around with this, I realized I need it like 4 pieces thick, which is crazy. But I do. And so what I do is I take them and I double them up sticky to sticky. And I'm just gonna do that a whole bunch of times. While I'm doing this, I should grab my other projects I want to show you. Let's see. Okay. That's all my strips I have left, so here I go. I'm gonna cut that down, peel that off so it's all sticky, and I'm just gonna put that there. So this is fussy. This is fussy work, but it'll pay off. It'll pay off. It'll be worth it, because this is a very, very cool ornament when it's done. So today I wore a t-shirt, a sweatshirt, a t-shirt, a long sleeve shirt, and a sweatshirt because it was so dang cold. The last couple days I thought I was gonna freeze to death. I've never been cold until, you know, I had my thyroid out. And now I'm sweating to death in this. It's like it must have gotten warmer outside. Come on. I'm just gonna put one there. Peeling the covers off of this stuff, ugh, not my favorite thing. But once it's all done, it sticks in there great. So I have handmade things all over my house. My house looks, the craft room here looks like a disaster zone because I have been crafting like a maniac, and it's nice to be able to leave it out and walk away, and nobody sees it but me, really. Okay. Now, normally I would put a little more tape on there, but I'm just, for the sake of show, I'm gonna put a couple dots of glue just so it doesn't come loose, darn it. It sucks when these ornaments do not stand with the test of time. I'm gonna move it as high up to the top as I can and smush the foam tape down. Stick, 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 stick. Look at that. Oh, it's so pretty. Ta-da! And then we have our star. My glue dries clear, so it won't show. Isn't that neat? I just love it. Card making, you know, I have been card making like crazy, and I still don't really have my Christmas cards done. I don't know why. I can't. I think this year I usually use a lot of different card sets to make my cards. I don't make them all the same. And so that is, you know, one of the things is that I've only used a couple of different cards or stamp sets, so I feel like I'm not done. Okay, so I'm showing you these while I grab a couple of other projects. I hope you can see them all. These are all ideas for, look at this little one. I kind of like the darker blue a little bit more on that. Here's this guy. And a photo. You could make photo ornaments. Those are really good. Another thought I had after I talked to you, Stephanie, was, oh my gosh, you could totally do one of your homemade recipes on the back of it. This is a coaster. You could do one of your homemade recipes and the picture. So I could do like my grandma's noodles and a picture of my grandma or whatever. I'm just like, oh my gosh. Okay, I'm gonna grab a couple of projects that I've been making. I can't wait to show you. Okay, these are non-stamping, but I couldn't resist. Okay, I'm gonna have to raise up my camera. I hope I didn't just give you all whiplash. This is one of those really inexpensive, like, it's like a chipboard reindeer. It was 99 cents at Hobby Lobby. And I thought, what a cute door hanger. And I just painted it brown and red nose. And this is going, I made enough to put on all my neighbors' doors. I just thought that would be a fun kind of thing to do in the neighborhood. And then today, you know, Laura showed me this wreath, and she showed me how to make it. And so I made one this morning. Isn't it cute? I'm like, oh, this is sweet. I'm gonna show it sideways so you can see it all. So it's basically yarn wrapped around a form with some ribbon, and oh my gosh, I just think this is gorgeous. Gorgeous. Okay, I have one more thing I'm gonna show you, but it's in the other room, so just give me a moment. If any of my downline are watching, you need to go away now. All right. So this, I just thought this was adorable. It's a box. It was, I think, $15.99, and it opens. It has a slot in the top, and it says "Letters to Santa Claus" on it. And I just, now this is the stamp the month for January. Is it January? Yes, this is a stamp of the month for January. It has this thin cut that makes this really cool, like, pattern, like paper. And there's my cute Santa again, and one of those tags with the naughty or nice. And then I used my greenery and my ribbon, and I just glued those on to this cute little box. It makes a really cute decoration. Oh my gosh. Like I said, I've been crafting a bit. I have several things like that. So, woo! All of these are so much fun. And if you ever are like, oh my God, you're local and you're like, oh my God, I'm so behind, let me make stuff, just come over and we will make stuff. I promise I have gobs. So anyway, that is my live for today. And obviously we got a lot done. I had a lot pre-cut, but we got a lot done. And so just imagine if you got out your stamp sets and you just start doing images and getting them ready, and then you just have all these blanks to put them on, and you end up with these really cute things that you can give to people. And some of you have some of these. I think I made, I don't know, I think I made these for everybody in the club. I've made various things over time for people. So anyway, thank you for watching. And if you have more ideas, put your pictures in the comments. I'm dying to see them. Thank you. Have a good afternoon.